Today's topic is legal framework and regulatory bodies in corporate practice in Nigeria. In the exam, you may be asked to highlight the applicable laws and regulatory bodies regulating corporate law practice in Nigeria. Below is your answer. 1. Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. CAMA makes provisions for the incorporation of companies under Part B, the registration of business names under Part E, and the incorporation of trustees under Part F. CAMA makes provisions for the incorporation of companies under Part B, registration of business names under Part E, and incorporation of trustees under Part F. Okay, so CAMA, registration, incorporation of companies Part B, registration of business names Part E, registration of trustees Part F. It also makes provisions regarding the officers of a company, the constitution of a company, management, as well as its winding up. Okay, so the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, CAMA, makes provisions for the incorporation of companies in Part B, the registration of business names in Part E, the incorporation of registered trustees in Part F. It also makes provisions for the officers of a company, the constitution of a company, its winding up procedures, as well as its management. The second law is the Investment and Securities Act 2007. The Investment and Securities Act established the Securities and Exchange Commission. This act regulates the activities of the Nigerian capital markets. That is, it regulates investment and securities business in Nigeria. The Investment and Securities Act regulates all offers of securities by public companies, as well as registration of companies, as well as registration of securities. Investment and Securities Act 2007. 1. It establishes the Securities and Exchange Commission. 2. It regulates the activities of the Nigerian capital markets. And 3. Regulates all offers of securities by public companies, as well as registration of securities. Okay, so IFA, the Investment and Securities Act 2007. 1. It establishes the Securities and Exchange Commission. 2. It regulates the Nigerian capital markets. 3. It regulates all offers of securities made by public companies, as well as the registration of securities. 3. The Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act 2004. This act was enacted to regulate and promote investing in the Nigerian economy by both Nigerian and non-Nigerian investors. This act was enacted to regulate and promote investment in the Nigerian economy by both Nigerian and non-Nigerian investors. NIPC Act, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act 2004, was enacted to regulate and promote investment in the Nigerian economy by Nigerians and foreigners. The Nigerian Investment Promotion Act 2004 was enacted to regulate and promote investments in the Nigerian economy by Nigerians and foreigners, by both Nigerian and non-Nigerian investors. Number 4, the Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2004. This provides for foreign investments by aliens to be done in convertible currency freely imported into Nigeria through an authorized dealer. The Foreign Exchange (Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions) Act 2004 provides for foreign investments by aliens to be done in convertible currency freely imported into Nigeria through an authorized dealer. The Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2004 provides for foreign investments by aliens to be done in convertible currency freely imported into Nigeria through an authorized dealer. The Forex Act provides for foreign investments by aliens to be done in convertible currency freely imported into Nigeria through an authorized dealer. The Forex Act authorizes foreign investments by aliens to be done in convertible currency freely imported into the Nigerian economy by an authorized dealer. The Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Act 2004 provides for foreign investments by aliens through convertible currency freely imported into Nigeria by an authorized dealer. 5. The Immigration Act. This act requires aliens who wish to set up their business in Nigeria to obtain business permits, expatriate quota, and residence permits for foreigners who wish to work in Nigeria. The Immigration Act requires aliens who wish to set up a business in Nigeria to get a residence permit, an expatriate quota, and a business permit. Okay. The Immigration Act requires aliens who want to set up a business in Nigeria to get 1. A business permit, 2. Expatriate quota, and 3. Residence permits for workers who wish to reside and work in Nigeria. Okay, so this first page discusses the relevant laws regulating corporate law practice in Nigeria and their relevance. So number 1, we discuss the corporate affairs. Number 1, we discuss the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, which makes provisions for incorporation of companies in Part B, registration of business names in Part E, and incorporation of trustees in Part F. It also makes provisions for the incorporation of companies, the officers of a company, its memorandums, its management, and its winding up procedures. So for next up, we have the Investment and Securities Act. So there are 3 functions. 1, the Investment and Securities Act 2007, which has been updated by the Investment and Securities Act 2024, it establishes the Securities and Exchange Commission. 2, it regulates the Nigerian capital markets. 3, it regulates the offers of securities made by public companies as well as registration of securities. So after that, we have the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act. The Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act, NIPC Act, promotes and regulates the investments into the Nigerian economy by Nigerian and non-Nigerian investors. After that, we have the Foreign Exchange (open) Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2004. This act provides for foreign investments by an alien to be done with convertible currency freely imported into Nigeria by an authorized dealer. Then number 5, we have the Immigration Act. The Immigration Act mandates foreigners who want to set up business in Nigeria to acquire 1, a business permit, 2, an expatriate quota, 3, residence permits for foreigners who wish to work in Nigeria. Yay, I just got the first page. So this topic, I think it has 6 pages. After these 6 pages, I'm going to get my past questions and take a look at the questions they ask about this particular topic. So now back to what I was reading. Number 6, we have the National Office for Technology and Acquisition and Promotion Act. National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act 2004. This act provided that every contract or agreement entered into by a person in Nigeria with any persons outside Nigeria, which involves the transfer of foreign technology to Nigerian partners, must be registered by NOTAB not later than 60 days from execution of the agreement. Let me take that again. The National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act, NOTAP, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act 2004, okay, provides that every contract and agreement entered into by any person in Nigeria with any permit outside Nigeria, which involves the transfer of foreign technology to Nigerian partners, must be regulated with NOTAP, must be registered with NOTAP no later than 60 days from execution of the agreement. Let me take it again. The National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act provides that every contract entered into by any person in Nigeria with any person outside Nigeria for the transfer of foreign technology to Nigerian partners must be registered in NOTAB not later than 60 days from the execution of the contract. Okay, so the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act 2004 provides that any contract entered into by any person residing in Nigeria with any person residing outside Nigeria for the transfer of technology that is foreign to Nigeria must be registered with NOTAB not later than 60 days from the execution of the agreement. I'll say it again. The National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act 2004 provides that every contract or agreement entered into by any person in Nigeria with any person outside Nigeria, which involves the transfer of foreign technology to Nigerian partners, must be registered with NITAB not later than 60 days from execution of the agreement. My goodness, I feel like sleeping. Okay, so to continue, for number 7, we have the Companies Income Tax Act 2004. This act provides the income tax payable upon the profits of any company in each year. The Companies Income Tax Act provides the income tax payable upon the profits of any company in each year. The Companies Income Tax Act provides the income tax payable by every company. It provides the income tax payable on the profits of any company in each year. It provides the income tax payable on the profits of any company every year. Okay, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Constitution, under Section 251, Sub 1, Paragraph E, confers on the Federal High Court's exclusive jurisdiction in civil cases and matters arising from the operation of the Kama or any other enactments regulating the operation of companies incorporated under the Kama. The Constitution under Section 251 sub 1E confers on the Federal High Court exclusive jurisdiction in civil cases and matters arising from the operation of the Kama or any other enactments regulating the operation of companies incorporated under Kama. The Constitution under Section 251 sub 1 paragraph E confers exclusive jurisdiction on the High Court in civil cases and matters arising from the operation of Kama or any other enactments regulating the operation of companies incorporated under Kama. Section 251 sub 1 paragraph E of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended confers on the Federal High Court exclusive jurisdiction on civil matters and matters arising from the operation of the Companies and Allied Matters Act or any legislation regulating the operation of companies enacted under Kama. 9. Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act. This act regulates the banking sector of the economy. 10. Federal High Court Act. Section 7 of this act provides that the Federal High Court shall have original jurisdiction over matters stated in Section 251 sub 1E of the Constitution. Okay, so the Federal High Court has jurisdiction in matters over in company matters by virtue of Section 251 sub 1E of Kama and Section 7 of the Federal High Court Act. 11. The Stamp Duties Act 2004. This act provides that the nominal share capital of any company registered with limited liability or any increase thereto shall be charged with ad valorem duty. This act provides that the nominal share capital of any company registered with limited liability or any increase thereto shall be charged with ad valorem duty. The Stamp Duties Act provides that any nominal share capital of any company registered with limited liability or any increase thereto shall be charged with ad valorem duty. The Stamp Duties Act provides that the nominal share capital of any company registered with limited liability or any increase shall be charged with ad valorem duty. The Stamp Duties Act states that the nominal share capital of any company registered with limited liability or any increase thereto shall be charged with ad valorem duty. The Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2004. The Federal Competition and Consumers Protection Commissions Act. Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission Act 2019. The Industrial Inspectorate Act. Okay, so the laws governing corporate law practice in Nigeria are 1. The Companies and Allied Matters Act. Part B provides for incorporation of companies. Part E provides for registration of business name. Part F provides for Part E provides for registration of business name. Part F provides for incorporation of trustees. Then after Kama, we have the Investment and Securities Act, which establishes the Securities and Exchange Commission, regulates Nigerian capital markets. and regulates offers of securities by public companies as well as registration of securities. Then after that, we have the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act, which regulates and promotes investments into the Nigerian economy by Nigerians and non-Nigerian investors. After, we have the Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act, which authorizes non-Nigerian aliens to invest in the Nigerian economy through convertible currency that was imported into Nigeria by an authorized dealer. After that, we have the Immigration Act, which requires any foreigner that wants to start a business in Nigeria to acquire a business permit, an expatriate quota, as well as a residence permit for someone that wants to work in Nigeria. Next up, we have the National Office of Technology Acquisition and Protection Act, which provides that every contract or agreement entered into by a person in Nigeria with a person not in Nigeria for the transfer of foreign technology to Nigerian investors must register the technology within 60 days of execution of must register with NUTAP rather, not later than 60 days from the execution of the agreement. The National Office of Technology Acquisition and Protection Act provides that any contract or agreement entered into by a person in Nigeria with a person not in Nigeria for the transfer of foreign technology to Nigerian investors must register with NOTAP not less than 60 days from the execution of the agreement. Afterwards, we have the Federal High Court Act by virtue of Section 7. The Federal High Court has the jurisdiction to entertain matters provided in Section 251 sub 1E of the Constitution. Section 251 sub 1E of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, confers exclusive jurisdiction on the Federal High Court on civil matters and matters arising from the operation of CAMA or any other legislation that regulates companies registered under CAMA. Next up, we have the Companies Income Tax Act, which provides income tax payable on the profits of any company every year. Then we have the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, which regulates the banking sector. We have the Central Bank of Nigeria Act, which establishes the Central Bank of Nigeria and gives it power. Afterwards, we have the Federal Competition and Consumers Protection Commissions Act 2019, which is the legislation that protects Nigerian consumers as well as regulates competition within Nigerian business operators. Well, that is it for the laws that are relevant and that I can remember offhand. Next up, we have the regulatory bodies governing corporate law practice in Nigeria. and their roles and functions. CAC, the Corporate Affairs Commission. The Corporate Affairs Commission is established under Section 1, and it is headed by the Registrar General. Role or functions of CAC. This is mentioned in Section 8 of 1. To administer the in terms of the regulation and supervision of the formation, incorporation, registration, management, and winding up of companies. To administer the in respect of the regulation and supervision of the incorporation, registration, formation, management, and winding up of companies. To administer the in respect of regulation and supervision of the formation, incorporation, registration, management, and winding up of a company. To administer the in respect of regulation and supervision of the formation, incorporation, registration, management, and winding up of corporate entities. To establish and maintain companies registry and office in all the states. 3. To arrange or conduct investigation into the affairs of any company. Establish and maintain companies registry and office in all states. 2. Establish and maintain companies registry and office in all states. Establish and maintain companies registry in all states. To arrange or conduct investigation into the affairs of the company. 3. Arrange or conduct investigation into the affairs of any company. Arrange and conduct investigation into the affairs of any company. Okay, so 1. To administer the in terms of the regulation and supervision of formation, incorporation, registration, management, and winding up of any company. To establish and maintain registry, companies registry, and branches and offices in all states. To establish and maintain company registry in all states and company registry and offices in all states. And to conduct investigation into the affairs of a company. To arrange or conduct investigation into the affairs of a company. So first of all, the Corporate Affairs Commission, established by Section 1 of which is headed by the Registrar General. Section 8 of points out the functions of CAC, and it includes 1. To administer in respect of the supervision and regulation of the formation, incorporation, registration, management, and winding up procedures of the company. 2. To establish and maintain companies registry and offices in all states. 3. Conduct investigation into the affairs of any company. Note the following about the CAC. 1. It has a governing board composed of 10 members, including a chairman and a registrar general. It has a governing board comprised of 10 members, including the chairman and the registrar general. 2. The chairman of the governing board is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the minister, while other members are appointed by the minister. It has a governing board composed of 10 members, including a chairman and a registrar general. The chairman of the governing board is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the minister, while other members are appointed by the minister. The chairman of the governing board is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the minister, while other members are appointed by the minister. The chairman of the governing board is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the minister, while other members are appointed by the minister. Which minister? All its members except the registrar general are part-time members. Anybody that wants to say must give a 30 days pre-action notice. Law section 17 of KAMA. Okay, so notes differing about KAMA. 1. It has a governing board that comprises of 10 members, including the chairman and the registrar general. The chairman is appointed by the president of Nigeria on the recommendation of the minister, while other members are appointed by the minister. All members of the board except the registrar general are part-time members. Before suing the CAC, the person must give the CAC 30 days pre-action notice via section 17 of the Companies and Allowed Matters Act. So, Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The roles of functions of the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, are provided in Section 3 of the Act, and they are: 1. To regulate investments and securities business in Nigeria. 2. To regulate and register offers of securities by public companies. 3. To register and promote corporate and individual capital market operators. 4. To approve and regulate mergers, acquisitions, and all forms of business combinations. Okay, let me take that again. The roles of functions of the SEC are provided in Section 3 of the Act, the Securities and Investments Act, and they are: 1. To regulate investment and securities business in Nigeria. 2. To regulate and transfer offers of securities by public companies. 3. To approve and regulate mergers, acquisitions, and all forms of business combinations. To approve and regulate mergers, acquisitions, and all forms of business combinations. And 4. To register and regulate corporate and individual market operators. I'll say it again. 1. To register and regulate individual and corporate capital market operators. 2. To regulate the Nigerian capital market. 3. To regulate mergers, acquisitions, and other forms of business combinations. And 4. To regulate the offer of securities by public companies and register securities. Take note, the Securities and Exchange Commission, by virtue of Section 341 of the Act, must be given 14 days pre-action notice by any person intending to sue the Commission. So the Corporate Affairs Commission must be given 60 days pre-action notice, 30 days pre-action notice, while the Securities and Exchange Commission must be given 14 days pre-action notice, Section 341. And pre-action notice in KAMA is Section 17. Okay, so KAMA Section 17, 30 days. ISA Section 341, 14 days. Okay. Next up, we have the Nigerian Investments Promotion Commission, NIPC, established under Section 1 of the NIPC Act and headed by an executive secretary. So KAMA is headed by the Registrar General, whereas Nigerian Investments Promotion Commission, NIPC, is headed by an executive secretary. Roles or functions of the NIPC, Nigerian Investments Promotion Commission. It's 1. To encourage and promote investments in Nigeria. 2. To monitor all investments promotion activities. 3. To register and keep records of all enterprises. 4. The provision and dissemination of up-to-date information on incentives available to investors. 5. The NIPC houses a one-stop investment center for ease of investments by foreign investors. Okay. So the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission is established by Section 1 of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act. Okay. And it is headed by an executive secretary. The functions of NIPC are to encourage and promote investments in Nigeria, to keep a record of all, and to register and record, to keep register and records of all enterprises. 3. To monitor all investments promotion activities. 4. The NIPC houses a one-stop investments center, OSIC, for ease of investments by foreign investors. And 5. Provision and dissemination of up-to-date information on incentives available to investors. Okay. 1. To encourage and promote investments opportunities in Nigeria. 2. To regulate all investment promotion activities. 3. To disseminate up-to-date information regarding incentives to investors. 4. The NIPC houses the OSIC, One-Stop Investment Center, for ease of investment by foreign investors. And 5. It registers and keeps records of all enterprises. Period. The roles and functions of the NIPC in Section 4. Okay, so the roles and functions of the CAC are in Section 8. The roles and functions of the SEC are in Section 3. And the roles and functions of the NIPC are in Section 4. Okay. The National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Commission, established by the NOTAP Act. Functions of NOTAP Commission are provided for in Section 3 of the Act, and they are: 1. Register contracts of transfer of foreign technology between Nigerians and aliens and issue certificate of registration. 1. They register contracts of transfer of foreign technology between Nigerians and aliens and issue certificates of registration. 2. It acts as a catalyst between research institutions and industries in Nigeria. So the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Commission is established by the NOTAP Act, and its functions are provided in Section 3 of the Act, which are: 1. It registers contracts of transfer of foreign technology between Nigerians and aliens and issues certificate of registration. It registers contracts of transfer of foreign technology between Nigerians and foreigners and issues a certificate of registration. B. It acts as a catalyst between research institutions and industries in Nigeria. It acts as a catalyst between research institutions and industries in Nigeria. The National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Commission is established by the NOTAP Act, and its functions are provided in Section 3 of the Act, and they are: 1. They register contracts of transfer of foreign technology between Nigerians and aliens and issue a certificate of registration. And 2. They serve as a catalyst between research institutions and industries in Nigeria. They serve as a catalyst of meeting points between research institutions and industries in Nigeria. 5. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Commission, established under NDIC Act. This is an insurer to banks and financial institutions. The NDIC, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, established under the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation Act. Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. Its functions are: one, it is an insurer to banks and other financial institutions. Two, in collaboration with CBN, they monitor the activities of banks. It's an insurer to banks and financial institutions. In collaboration with CBN, they monitor the activities of banks. Three, when a bank falls into distress, the NDIC manages and assumes responsibility of those failing banks. The NDIC intervenes through purchase and assumption of the debts of failed bank. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, established under the NDIC Act, has the following functions. It is an insurer to banks and financial institutions. In collaboration with CBN, they monitor the activities of banks. When a bank falls into distress, the NDIC manages and assumes responsibility of those failing banks. The NDIC intervenes through purchase and assumption of debts of failed banks. Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria. They resolve liquidity problems in the financial sector. They assist banks in moderating the cost of bank distress. They manage and deposit toxic assets of Nigerian banks by including non-performing loans. Let me repeat that. AMCON, Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, resolves liquidity problems in the financial sector, assists banks in moderating the cost of bank distress, manages and disposes toxic assets of Nigerian banks, including non-performing loans. Next up, we have the Federal High Court, established by Section 249 of the Constitution. The powers of the Federal High Court are: 1, it has the power to wind up a company. 2, it may appoint or remove a liquidator in any voluntary winding up. 3, the court may cancel the alteration of a company's objects. 4, they may order the rectification of register of members. 5, they may order a meeting of creditors or class of creditors when necessary. Okay, so a company may be wound up by the courts. It can appoint or remove a liquidator in a voluntary winding up. The court may cancel the alteration of a company's objects. They may order the rectification of register of members. And E, may order a meeting of creditors or class of creditors when necessary. 8, the Nigerian Immigration Service, established under the Immigration Act. It issues visas and residence permits to foreigners entering into Nigeria. Next up, we have the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, established under the FCCPC Act, regulates mergers and other business combinations in Nigeria. Note the following about FCCPC. It is a body corporate with perpetual succession and the power to sue and be sued in its name. It is composed of 8 members, which include a chairman, a chief executive, who is the vice chairman, 2 executive commissioners. The members of the commission are appointed by the president from 6 geopolitical zones, subject to confirmation by the Senate. The members of the commission are appointed by the president from the 6 geopolitical zones, subject to confirmation by the Senate. Really? All complaints against the FCCPC must first go to the Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal. Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal. Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal. So the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is established by the FCCPC Act, and It's a body corporate with perpetual succession which can be sued sue in its own name. It consists of 8 members, which are the chairman, a chief executive, who's also the vice chairman, and 2 executive commissioners. The members of the commission are picked by the president on the recommendation of the Senate from the 6 geopolitical zones. All complaints against FCCPC must first go to the Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal. Accreditation with the CAC. As a legal practitioner, it is required that you apply to CAC for accreditation to be able to do some official transactions relating to Part A of CAMA, that is companies. The process of accreditation will authorize a person to be able to deal with the CAC as agents on behalf of their clients. Note: it is no longer compulsory to engage a legal practitioner in respect of incorporation of companies, because any promoter or any of the first directors of the proposed company can now apply to incorporate a company. However, it is only a legal practitioner that can sign the column for statutory declaration of compliance during the incorporation of a company. Any promoter or any of the first directors of a proposed company can now apply to incorporate a company. However, it is only a legal practitioner that can sign the column for statutory declaration of compliance during the incorporation of the company. It's no longer compulsory to engage a legal practitioner in respect of the incorporation of companies, because any promoter or any of the first directors of the proposed company can now apply to incorporate a company. However, it is only a legal practitioner that can sign the column for statutory declaration of compliance during the incorporation of a company. Procedure for accreditation. Duly completed accreditation forms picked from the CAC. 2. Pay the sum of 5,000 naira for individuals or 10,000 naira for firms. 3. Submit the filled accreditation form with the following documents attached. A. Passport photograph of the applicant. B. A copy of his qualifying certificate. C. A copy of his practicing fee receipt for the year of application. 4. A copy of his NYSC discharge certificate or exemption certificate in lieu. 5. A copy of his registration receipts. 8. Procedure for accreditation. Number 1, duly completed accreditation forms picked up from the CAC. 2. A registration fee of 5,000 naira for individuals 2. Pay the registration fee. 3. Submit the accreditation form with the following documents. 1. 2 passport photographs of the applicants, a copy of their qualifying certificates, a copy of their NYSC certificates or exemption letter, a copy of the practicing fee for the year, fee receipts for the year of application, and 5. A copy of his registration receipts. Okay, so if you want to be accredited in CAC, you need a duly completed accreditation form from the CAC. You need to pay the registration fee, and your accreditation form was accompanied with the following documents: 2 passport photographs, your qualifying certificate, your NYSC certificate or exemption letter, your practicing fee receipts from the year of application, and your registration receipts, NYSC discharge certificates. Okay. Procedure for SEC registration. Evidence of payment of application fee. Duly completed SEC application form. Submit application form accompanied by your qualifying certificate from proving 5 years of call. 2, evidence of demonstrable knowledge of capital market operations as may be determined by SEC. 3, verifiable office address for inspection by the SEC. D, security reports on the applicants. E, 3 passport photographs. F, evidence of payment of prescribed fees. G, applicant's banker statements. State 5 laws that regulate corporate law practice in Nigeria. State 7. We have KAMA, we have ISA, we have the FCC PC Act, we have the NDIC Act, we have the Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act, Immigration Act, we have the National Office of Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act, we have the Federal High Court Act, we have the Constitution, we have something I'm missing. There's something I'm missing. Banks and Other Financial Institution Act, CBN Act, okay? For regulatory bodies, CAC, SEC, CBN, FCC, PC, AMCON, NDIC if it is a bank, Federal High Court. Okay. Cool. This document you file to CAC. Okay. The promoters and the first directors of a company may register or apply to incorporate a company. However, it's only a legal practitioner that can sign a statutory declaration of compliance during incorporation. It's only a legal practitioner that can sign a statutory declaration of compliance. And to be accredited by the CAC, you need to submit your duly completed application accreditation forms from the CAC. To pay the prescribed fee, which is 5,000 naira for single individuals, but 10,000 naira for firms. And then your duly completed accreditation forms must be accompanied by 2 passport photographs of the applicants, the qualifying certificate of the applicants, the NYSC discharge certificate, or an exemption letter, receipts of processing fee, receipts of the year of application, and finally registration receipts. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you learned something or you fell asleep. Bye.